Hi again. This is the end of lesson 3-10. We are looking at example 3 at the bottom of page 157, and this is pretty easy stuff actually. So let's look at it. We're applying the density property that we just talked about, and example 3 asks us to find a real number between 2 1/3 and 2 2/3. Okay, so I'm sure y'all have learned to average. Average means we find the number in the middle. If I have the numbers 2 and 4 and I want to average them, I've got to find out what number is perfectly in between the two. So just talking to you, okay, now I forgot the two numbers that I said. I think I said 3 and 5. So if I didn't say 3 and 5, I'm saying it now. 3 and 5, I know that the number in between those is 4. I know that just by thinking about it. But I also know how to average. I know that to average things or find the thing right in the middle, all I have to do is add up what I have and divide by how many I have. So in this case, I'm going to add 3 plus 5 is 8. And I'm going to divide it by 2 because I only had 2 numbers to add. And 8 divided by 2 is 4. Let's try another one. Let's find the average of 10 and 14. I would add those two numbers together, which would be 24. I would divide it by 2 because I only added 2 numbers, 10 and 14. Divide 24 by 2, and I would find the average of 10 and 14 to be 12. Okay, so now we're going to do something a little bit different, a little bit more difficult. Find a real number between 2 and 1/3 and 2 2/3. So the easiest way to do this problem is simply to average it. That's going to give us the number that comes exactly in between these two. So I'm going to add them up. And Natalie, I'm saying this for your sake, this is one of those times when working with mixed numbers is an easy thing to do. It's easier than switching it back to integers. Usually, I think it's easier to, not integers, what did I mean to say? Improper fractions, that's what I'm looking for. So usually, I think it's easier to work with the improper fractions, but in this case, this one's super easy the way that it is. So we're going to add them up. We're going to add the whole numbers, 2, and I'm making sure you can see all of this. 2 plus 2 is 4. We're going to add the fractions, which already have a common denominator, which is part of why this is easy. 1/3 plus 2/3 is 3/3. Now, what is 4 and 3/3? It's a 4 and 1 whole, because the 3/3 is 1 whole, so it really equals 5. So 2 and 1/3 plus 2 2/3 is really equal to 5. But now we have to find the halfway mark between the two by dividing that 5 in half. And that's going to equal 2.5 or 2 1/2. And there is your halfway point for those two numbers. So that's going to be the easiest way in your homework to find a real number between two other numbers is just to average them. All right, I hope that helps. I hope your homework goes well. And actually, I'm going to do one more quick example of that for you just because one caught my eye. Here's another one. We want to find a real number between 3 and 2/5 and 3 3/5. So what did I say I was going to do? I'm going to average it. I'm going to add them together. The answer is going to be 6 5/5, which is equal to 7. Of course, I could have turned these into improper fractions and done the math that way if I would prefer, but I'm going to do this. And now I have to divide 7 by 2 because I added 2 numbers, and the answer is 3 1/2. All right? Okay, hope that helps. Hope y'all have a good day and that your homework goes well.